Present.
Robert Mennel,
Present.
Jonathan Radzik,
Present.
and Steve Vitale.
Present.
Okay, approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Approval of the minutes, September 4th, 2018.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any public comments on agenda items? Next, any communication correspondence anyone would like to share? None? Matters of consideration, tonight we have none. For old business, new business, Shoreline Steel, site plan review requests with discussion and action. So, Jeff, do you want to lead in with this, or?
Yeah, the building department received a site plan application for Shoreline Steel, looking to construct a commercial office building at 57, no, sorry, that's not the correct address, at 58171 Main Street. That is on the front half of the property, that fronts Main Street. I believe you should have a copy of my review letter. Look at it, it complies with the zoning, no problem. There are some couple discussions about landscaping that maybe need to be worked out in terms of the number of trees that are on the property. But I think there's some discussion that needs to take place related to the retention basin that is on the property. As you noted on that plan, it does encroach upon the parcel to the south of that. An easement agreement would be needed with those owners of that. But the unique thing here is that Shoreline Steel owns both properties. So an easement agreement would be required, though, in case either of those properties were transferred to other owners. And I think with that, that was my review, and I think that it really kind of depends on also the engineer's review as well.
You want to start with you?
Sure. Good evening.
Aye.
I believe the commissioners got my letter dated September 22nd. Basically, general comments of, the site plan layout, and most of these comments will be taken care of at the engineering stage, except for a couple, like Jeff mentioned, the detention, we'd like that stated. I know John Monte's here representing the owner, and also the dumpster location. We want to make sure that we have adequate maneuvering capability. Anything else, you can approve it contingent upon, addressing all comments at the engineering stage. Pretty straightforward site, nothing too complicated. And I'll take any questions the commission would like.
Anyone? Did everybody have a chance to read everything over?
If anything is not clear, I can go over my comments. John's also here to explain any unclear points and also address those in comments between Jeff and I for the record.
Can you remind me how the volume of the retention pond is calculated, or how's that decided?
Do you want to go over the project?
Sure.
Basically, Macomb County regulations.
Right.
The volume is set 2 inches over the whole site with an outlet, and also a restricted outlet, it depends where you send that volume.
Okay.
Where it's situated, it all depends on the design, how you send it to the wood ditch or the creek. That's how it dictate, by the jurisdictional agency, if it's the road commission. In this case, if it goes to the road, it would be the village owns right away. If it goes to the creek, then the agency will have jurisdiction over that, and they will review the design calculation and the route. But we have set rules, the county has set rules, and they have to follow that 100%. But I want to steal the good thunder.
Nah, no big deal. I'm John Monte from Project Control Engineering. We've worked with Servette on multiple occasions going through the engineering process. We certainly know what the requirements are. I'd like to show you how we're going to address the landscaping.
So I'd like to just pass this out. This is just a small, hi Jeff. What I thought I'd do is just bring you that so that you kind of had an idea, so that we could address the items that you had. You know, in general, we needed to put some more trees and some shrubs in there, so we went through each one of the items that Jeff underlined in his letter and provided additional trees along the frontage. It seemed like we met some of the other parking requirements for trees, but all in general, the main thing I believe was across the frontage that we needed additional landscaping. So we did go ahead and add that to the plan. One of the comments here that was underlined in his letter was the curb cut and access to Main Street would require DPW engineering approvals. You know, CERMED will look at us to provide the correct geometrics of the driveway and whatever meets the village requirements. We realize that we'll have to go through all the drainage issues. If you note on this, even on the little drawing it shows on there, down at the bottom here, we did identify proposed easement. We just knew with the size of the site that we were working on, the owner had kind of a minimum building size that he wanted to try to construct and for his offices. He owns the property adjacent, so we talked about either splitting a little piece off of that or putting it in a stormwater easement. So that's kind of the intention there. We'll provide, at this stage, if that works, we'll just provide an easement necessary to do storm drainage on that property. That agreement, again, would be something that would be reviewed by CERMED here. The parking lot lighting, it was kind of mentioned in here that there was, you know, when we looked at this, it seemed like it was indicated that it was mandatory to have the lighting, although we kind of didn't read it that way ourselves. Not really sure. Jeff had said if you do have lighting, you have to meet these minimum levels, or you can't have foot candles extending beyond the property line to shine onto the neighbors. If we need to add another light on the side of the building, we're not intending to really put additional parking lot lighting on. So I don't know.
We can talk about that offline, 'cause I think there's different treatments that can be there. I don't think that the ordinance is that detailed of what should be. It says that lighting should be there, but it doesn't prescribe what it should be. So collectively, I think we can figure that out.
Okay. I think that pretty well addresses it. It was the parking lot, the landscaping, the lighting, the curb cut, the drainage. On any of those issues, we're more than happy to try to go through and work with your staff to correct. So with that, if you have any questions that I can answer, I'll be happy to.
Anyone?
I think it's all pretty clear.
Okay. Ryan?
Any questions?
Kyle?
I guess the only question I do have, so there's no plans for any signage,
No, not this time.
not even on the building or anything?
Nothing.
Is there anything out there now? Is there any signage
I
out?
think there's a house there.
A lot of
houses
space.
next door. It's
That's right, it's a home.
Oh, yeah, there's a home next door. Are they using the house next door as an office already, or what is?
I don't think so.
Just
They
something
have
else?
offices across the street, I believe, right now.
Okay. Pleasure of the planning commission, anyone?
Motion to approve pending the engineer and planner stipulations being met, and in regards to the detention pond having a what is it, dual
Easement.
easement agreement.
Support.
If I may just note, for Shoreline Steel at 58171 Main Street. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Pennell?
Yep.
Mr. Kappa?
Yes.
Mrs. Domkowski, yes. Mrs. Gray Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
And Mrs. Raddick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We did our part to get you out early.
Please extend our thanks to your client for investing in those. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, Joe.
Good night.
You didn't need to my friend, did you?
No, we're all set.
Okay, matters for discussion. Attorney update on sign ordinance. I did see you sent something out, however.
I did send something out late,
Yeah.
because I just had a chance to really first take a look at it today. I have 2 copies here that I printed out that are Word documents that have all the comments for the record, so if you want to pass those down, that would be great. What I sent everybody is a copy of the Word document. It's 28 pages, I didn't make copies for everyone. But what was basically...
I'll read out the email, see what happens.
I mean, I'll just make sure Tracy has a copy.
I got it, yeah.
Do you want it for the,
Yeah, I can pass it along.
Basically where we're at with this is we went through the document, staff and myself, tried to identify all of the elements that we felt that were in conflict with the Supreme Court Reed versus Gilbert ruling. So the attorneys come back and take a look at it, and in some cases, they basically said, we agree, this is content-based, but not in all cases have they given us a prescribed method of how to attack it yet. So, as I read through this, I have some ideas. There's some things that they said, no, this clearly we have to take out elements of political signs and a number of things. But what we're hoping to do, what we're doing at the county, came back from the planning conferences last month. There was a lot of discussion about signs. We are going to be bringing on some other legal counsel to try to look at this. What we'd like to do is to try to put together over the course, this is going to take us a little while, but over the course of the next 6 to 9 months, what we hope will be a model ordinance with recommendations that all communities in the county can use to adopt their sign ordinance. I think all of the elements that any community are going to come across are in ours, so I think as we work with this and also work with the document from Utica, hopefully we can move towards language that resolves some of the issues, but that still keeps control, or at least still allows the community to exercise some control over signs. I think we want to be as permissive as possible, not to get ourselves into legal issues, but also then to write an ordinance that's still a sign ordinance that still carries weight and still has a reason to exist, and not just being an exercise to go through and just to approve something even though we don't have the right to do on some of them. So I guess that being said, there's a lot of stuff that we want to go back and digest on this, and I'd like to come back next month and give you guys an update of where we're at. So again, signs being on the back burner, we will go further with this. We'll come back, we'll start looking at what the attorney's comments are, looking at how we can apply those to a number of our comments, and then identifying the places where we still have questions. There's still some things that they did not comment on that we hope that we would get some other direction how to actually address the signs. So that's what I've got on signs tonight. The other item that we were talking about is I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Has Al Addis been in touch with you?
Al did take a look at this document. Yes, this was reviewed by the village, one of the village attorneys. I have to go back and look at his name. I think he's one of their junior people, but he said he was very familiar with signs and been working with, and gauging from the responses I got back, I felt pretty comfortable. He does have a good handle on this material. Because in some cases, he pointed us to, he said, you may want to consider this, and he pointed to another case in California, it's Miller versus something, so I want to take a look at that and see how that applies.
Thank you.
I can inject a little on that one too. Sean is, he works for Addis, on the same, or under the same umbrella. Sean, I believe, he has a pretty good head on his shoulders as far as the legalities and all that. He's been really helpful to us in the past. So he kind of works under Addis and helps supplies with
So the village is engaging in an expense for the sign ordinance through our attorneys.
No, this is completely covered under our agreement with the attorney that it's no cost to the village.
That was my only concern, was racking up a whole lot of.
And that's why we took advantage of it, was we knew it was going to be,
Yeah.
that we were doing it for us.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, no problem. Any other questions related to signs? Okay, I'm going to move on to, we were talking about taking a look at our next industrial, our next districts. We've done some preliminary look, and I'll pass these maps down. What I was hoping to be able to bring you guys tonight was an update, or at least a proposed update for the planned unit development or the PUD district. We're still working through a number of issues with the Utica one. I think that's going to really be our template. I'm kind of waiting on my staff for that one. I should have you a draft of that language for next month to take a look at. It's fairly simple. We're going to be looking at reducing the minimum footprint. Right now it's like 5 acres, but we want to be able to, I think there should be really no minimum on that, as long as it warrants the project that's determined by this group that it applies. And also open it up to more districts. Because right now, I think I think there's a limitation on all of what districts you can do a PUD. I think it's residential and just light industrial at this point. I may be wrong on that, so maybe confuse it with Utica, but we definitely want to go across the board with all districts. So if we have a unique project or something that would take place in Victoria Street, that could cover something like that, where we have more control over it, potentially can go in there and give us more flexibility on how we deal with some of those non-conforming lots and be able to do something more creative as opposed to kicking someone back to ZBA and having to go through the variance process. So those are our thoughts on that. I'm going to pass these down. You guys each want to take a copy. Through our GIS, we started taking a look at industrial zone property, that's heavy industrial, light industrial, and then also the general business. And the idea here was to kind of get an assessment of what we have, how many acres are available, how many acres are developed in each of these land categories, and then also to take a look at the available frontages that are out there. So we looked at the maximums, the minimums, and the averages, and in some cases calculated some of them for some of the outstanding properties. So the first one you have is heavy industrial. The next one that's coming by is light industrial and industrial office. Light industrial is pretty much everything. Industrial office in the village is that portion that is Hirotech, the old Comcast building, and also Tractor Supply falls in that zoning category. Again, green are individual parcels that are vacant. Don't know the status, don't know if they're on the market, but they are available in those zoning districts. And then the last one is the general business zone properties. This pretty much focuses on the Gratiot corridor and also the intersection down at 26 Mile Road. One of the things I think that was surprising that came out of this is the amount of light industrial and potential light industrial property that we do have. Not everything has great frontage, especially if you look at the one property that comes off of Main Street, behind the village offices, and also the one that we're upstream Tractor Supply. But there is significant land there for that type of future development. As well along Roselle, coming down towards Sturdy Grinding is the existing parcel there at 4 acres. I believe the gentleman who owns Sturdy, I may be wrong, but I believe he owns the portion behind him that wraps around his property there. So those areas are all zone light industrial as well. So there is potential there for more development, and there is water and sewer. What we want to do as our next steps is take a look at the frontages that we have in the schedule of regulations that states like heavy industrial is supposed to have 200 linear feet of frontage. And when we look at this, there's only 2 properties that we have. If you look at the heavy industrial that are even left, that would have that much frontage, and almost development on anything else is going to require some type especially if you take a look at the properties that are along 26 Mile. You start with Balor site, going to Basic Metals and the Marios truck. If any of those were to be redeveloped, really Marios truck's about the only one that's got 200 feet of frontage there. So our idea is maybe we set a performance standard minimum, and we're gonna come back with some options for you guys that are more flexible. So we could put a hard number in there and dance around it. We could say, okay, let's try 125 and see if that works. But we might be able to write something in there based upon the existing frontage and not only the existing frontage, but the potential for combination of properties along that way as well. The Foundry property is listed on here as heavy industrial. There's a lot of acreage there. There's this questionability, what is truly developable there or not. There are just short little pieces of frontage there that actually go out to Main Street. Again, any redevelopment on that property would be looking at needing a special variance for that frontage. This was one of those properties that if something did come, a PUD might be a great way to go on top of that. So what I think we want to do is we want to take a look at the PUD back for my staff, look at PUDs and look at the numbers that we got from this analysis and then try to craft two items that work hand in hand. The PUD ordinance that can be an overlay, and then looking at the actual schedule of regulations and starting to look at those initial minimum lot required for each of the zones, at least for these 3 zones, and then also the minimum frontage needed. But I think what's one of the interesting things I said is there is a lot of potential for commercial development yet. If you look at general business, we have the entire triangle. We have a large parcel that I really wasn't aware of that's on the 26 and New Haven on the northwest corner. That is zoned commercial, and there's still a considerable amount of commercial potential for development up at 27 Mile. But that's our plan of attack moving forward. I apologize, we don't have anything for you guys to take action on or anything tonight, but I think as we bring this next thing to you guys, I will get it out in advance. You can take a look at it. We'll post some questions along with it for you guys to think about, and it'll generate. We can have a more thorough discussion with all those facts and those items and comments.
Can I ask just a general question as
Absolutely.
far as how things work? So if I look at the light industrial and I look at Greater Hope or Greater New Hope Church and
Yes.
Sturdy Grinding, there's that triangular. It looks like it's pretty much like a landlocked vacant lots there. How would we go about? Would it be that just they have to gauge easement rights to be able to then do anything with those lots? Or?
Easement rights, or if we were really to dig in, there might be access at the end of Helt. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the aerial photo a little bit closer.
Oh,
But yeah, those are some oddball landlocked ones back there.
yeah.
You may be looking at an easement agreement through the church or one of those places. I guess I would factor based upon the use and what would be coming in and out of there, because I realize that you do have a residential neighborhood there. With help with Will and Delane,
Yeah.
it'd be probably better to send them up to Roselle. But then again, questions I don't know who controls those properties.
Right.
One of the things that Lori's getting us, which we have not had, that's kind of hindered our ability to do analysis, is we don't have direct connect into you guys' BSNA system at Lennox, so we can't look things up without getting a paywall. So we're working with the assessor there so that we can have more readily accessible information in terms of sales and actually who's the owner of the property. So every time when these questions come up, I'm almost sending them to Lori, she's sending PDFs, screenshots back, which has been kind of efficient. So, are there any questions on the maps or the direction that we're going to try to take you guys with this? Okay.
Very interesting. It's cool to see all of these properties actually
Exciting.
laid out graphically like this.
And to be perfectly honest, we're going to hold on to these because this actually can become base material for what when we go to master plan update.
Right.
This will be part of that land use analysis. This is just the beginning of it. We'll do the whole thing. We'll do the entire community out. you know, and then look at areas that are still vacant and try to, you know, what is the build-out analysis in terms of how much percentage of what do we have if we look at all the vacant lands that are in all those districts. No one ever reaches 100%, I mean, mature communities, you always have turnover. But this will also potentially help identifying key property owners, if, you know, someone did come to, you know, community and say, I'm looking for a greenfield site, I need so many acres to put up so many square feet. You guys do have the water and sewer up in Gratiot, and you do have, you know, between 23 and 15, there's a considerable amount of property that's there off the Comcast Drive, that would be very attractive.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have anything else for Jeff?
I have a question.
Yes.
Have you had any more inquiry about that multifamily development?
Nothing else has come,
Okay.
nothing else has come across my desk, and I don't think anything's come through the board.
Okay, just out of curiosity.
No, just this Shoreline Steel was the last site plan, it just kind of came in quick, and it was a very easy review. We were able to accelerate to get it to you guys, because they wanted to get started this season yet.
Right.
So public comments, planners report, good?
No report.
And motion is to adjourn at 7:26.
So moved.
All in favor?
Bye.
7:26.
You said it's 17.